On your journey of somatic healing and nervous system regulation as you recover from chronic pain, anxiety, panic, obesity, insomnia, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and more, I recommend hiring the best coach you can afford. And there are a number of reasons for that, and I'm going to get into it. And then at the end of the video, if you stick around, I'll let you know who was my greatest coach on this journey and how my working with that coach really helped accelerate my recovery. So I'm Healing Wolf. Wolf is a Swiss family name, dates back to 1290 in Switzerland, where my ancient ancestor, Sir Marquardt Werner Wolf, the defender of warriors, began a long lineage of wolves, of which I'm one of the newest incarnations. And his being a knight gave him a unique opportunity to help people who were working under him. I guess he was sort of a general. And I'm here to be that for you. I'm here to help coach you through neuroplastic conditions like chronic pain, anxiety, and panic. I was bedbound for a year. I worked through a lot of different modalities. I worked on my own. I worked with some coaches, and through the process, managed to leave the bed. I was bedbound, and leave the house. I was housebound. I couldn't sit or stand for almost a couple of years, and return to a full and vibrant life where I do whatever I want to do now. I just got off an airplane, and I fly, no big deal. I flew actually across the ocean to Europe not too long ago. And when I was bedbound, I didn't believe I could do that, but here I am. And I'm living proof and evidence that if I recovered, you can too, because I was a hell walker. I was down at the bottom. Okay, the pain was unimaginable, and the depression and the panic attacks, you name it. I probably went through it. Drop a comment what you're going through, and I'll let you know if I also went through it. It's rare to find a sensation that I didn't experience on my journey. But back to today's video message. Hire the best coach you can afford. And sometimes, in rare circumstances, you'll be able to afford that through the medical system. But in most cases, it will be out of pocket because you're going to be working with a coach such as myself, who's not a medical doctor, who's not a licensed psychologist. And because I'm not those things, I have a totally different way of interacting with you and your unconscious mind. Now, I'm trained for decades in rapid resolution therapy, in clinical hypnosis. So thankfully, even before I entered the bottom of this hell walk with chronic pain, I had done trainings in RRT, which is a modality that makes specific and beneficial changes to your unconscious mind. And let's face it, what we're working on here is reprogramming our unconscious mind so it won't be overprotective. It's sending these sensations like chronic pain, anxiety, panic, POTS, arrhythmia, chronic fatigue, obesity to protect us, to keep us alive. Okay, and we don't need that protection. We really don't need that protection. So on your healing odyssey, it might seem like these concepts are very simple, right? You read a book, you read The Way Out or Healing Back Pain, and the concepts look super simple. But here's the thing, the fear can be complex. And if the fear is complex and the resistance is complex, you might not even see it. You might think that you're doing everything you need to do to recover. And a great coach will sit with you the first 5 minutes of the session and listen to what's been going on and say, A, B, C. We need to knock out those resistances. We need to embrace these sensations in this way. We need to cultivate indifference. We need to move you into allowing. We need to do some processes to get your mind moving in the right direction, even just setting an intention. I don't think most coaches in this space have a concept of setting an intention early on in their coaching sessions because it's not a part of modalities like PRT. I have not seen it. It is a huge part of RRT, rapid resolution therapy. And it is a huge part of my process. I also created my own forms of somatic healing along the way, somatic meditations, combining ancient teachings from Buddha, like in Vipassana meditation, with more modern modalities like pain reprocessing therapy, which has been clinically shown to give dramatic results, great improvements, like in the Boulder back pain study. Now, rapid resolution therapy has not had the same clinical and scientific research because it's very expensive to do this research. And there were a number of medical doctors and donors that helped with the Boulder back pain study. And as I understand it, the people who put that study together were also working either for little or no pay to validate this modality, or were putting their own personal funds into it. So that's noble in itself. So back to the main theme. Let's look at it this way. If you were going to fly on an airplane across the ocean, or even across the country, or even across the county, and you showed up at the airport and you had one kiosk that said free flights, and the other kiosk said the flights are $100 an hour or $200 an hour. And the pilots on the $200 an hour flight have flown this route before. And by the way, there's an announcement over the loudspeaker. There's a storm brewing in the sky. Now, which airline are you going to fly? Freebie GB or Hellwalker Airlines, Hurricane Airlines, an airlines that has pilots who've flown this journey before. Now, lots of my colleagues in both RRT and in PRT are charging anywhere from $100. In fact, I don't know any that charge only $100, but $150, $165-ish. I charge a lower amount than that, especially if you do a package, but they charge up to $500, $1,000 a session. In fact, working with the founder of RRT may even cost you more. Is it worth it? Absolutely. If you have the funds, don't put them into the medical system. That system is going to charge you just as much and push you sideways and traumatize you even more. And I can't say it enough that you need to get checked out, but beyond that, I wouldn't do any of the things they recommend. The success rates are extremely low. And sometimes it might seem like using your insurance is cheap and easier, but you're going to be flying with Freebie Airlines, and you don't want Freebie. You do not want Freebie Airlines, because those pilots have not been through a storm. They don't know what to do. They don't even know what it looks like to go through a storm. And yes, this goes for licensed mental health counselors, LMHCs, or licensed practitioners in the medical field, any medical field. There are plenty of therapists out there who claim to be, and some of them are, pain psychotherapists. Now, there are some modalities like ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, or PRT, pain reprocessing therapy, which are super useful. But on my own journey, I'll tell you the story in a minute about one that I worked with was awful. Okay, but before I tell that story, please subscribe to this channel. Help me on my mission to reach as many people as possible. And when I reach these people, they get to come out of hell. They get to return to life. They get to make our society better, our world better. Everybody gets better together. That's my mission here, to help people out of hell. So subscribe. That helps the mission. Give me a thumbs up. Ring the bell so you hear about my new videos. I'm putting out a lot of videos for you. So stay in the wolf pack. So here's my experience, right? I promised you a few stories. And one of them was with a former medical doctor who became kind of like a therapist, psychotherapist, and marketed herself as an expert in pain recovery. In fact, her name had something like pain in it. And when I first started working with her, she claimed to be certified in pain reprocessing therapy. I don't know what that meant. I don't know if she'd spent 6 weeks, 8 weeks in a training course, but obviously she did not get it. I had to coach her I had to get her to stop returning to the body. She wanted to talk about spinal nerves. She wanted to talk about pathways, these physiological pathways. Just returned my focus to the body and gave me doubts about something physiological could be wrong here. Okay? And that's a no-no. We move from the physiological, from the body, to the emotions, to the psychological, to the stresses, to the fact that unconscious mind is creating sensations to protect you. Okay, so I had to fire her. I asked her repeatedly to please cease and desist these references to the body. I guess because she was a medical doctor, it stumped her, it slowed her down. I had another therapist through my insurance. These are both through my insurance. I thought I could fly Freebie Airlines here. And yeah, she had no real experience. She'd not gone to hell. Maybe she had a little chronic pain, a little this, a little that. But she wasn't a hell walker. And so then I had another one that I got on Zoom with, and it was ridiculous. She told me I should light some candles. She was snacking on chips during the session. She really had nothing useful for me at all. And so, again, stopped it. But when I say hire the best coach you can afford, I jumped through a bunch of hoops. I went to UW. I switched doctors. I went to another pain specialist, and she diagnosed me with a horrible diagnosis, the suicide disease, CRPS. And that was, boom, a shock to me. I was terrified. But at the same time, because she wrote in her notes, I believe he may have this. I mean, maybe she didn't fully diagnose it, I don't know. But she wrote in her notes, she sent it out, and I was able to work with a pain-focused physical therapist at UW named Elliot. And when I worked with Elliot, he really helped me a lot. He was not a hell walker, but he had trained with the Australian group. Butler, Mosley, these guys, Explain Pain. He had a really strong energy and confidence. And I used his energy and confidence. And yes, he did not have, like looking back on it, he did not have the personal experience of flying through the hurricane, but he had piloted many others through the hurricane and was working with lots of clients and was able to get that experience. So I guess that's another thing that you want to take into consideration. Has this coach worked with a bunch of people and help people move from resistance to indifference to allowing to gratitude and gotten them back to their life? Sometimes this journey can take time. I'm an example. I know other coaches. I know coaches it took 10 years to recover. They went to programs. They tried this. They tried that. They worked with some Australians. They worked with some people in the United States. So sadly, coaches are not charities, especially the best. The best have spent decades, as I've spent, studying studying rapid resolution therapy. I flew all the way to India in early years to do a 12-day silent meditation in the mountains. I do ongoing mastery sessions with RRT. And I should also mention that on my recovery journey, I worked with the founder of Rapid Resolution Therapy, and that was crazy powerful for me. But for me, this is very different from you, being trained in Rapid Resolution Therapy was more challenging as a client, as a patient, because I knew what was going on. RRT works on a somewhat invisible level. So when I'm working with clients, they don't know what I'm doing. They don't know how my language, how my tone, how the stories and the journeys that I craft are speaking directly to their unconscious mind. But when I work with Dr. John Connolly and even some of his specialists, I learned how knowing what they were doing pulled me out of the hypnotic film in some cases. Still helped me immensely. And in fact, I coached the coaches, the RRT practitioners along the way. And one of them, I remember, she kept trying and trying and trying until we reached that point where I said, "You've got it. This worked." And it was wonderful. It was amazing. I could go on, but I'm not gonna. I'm excited today. I'm gonna do an interview with the Mind and Fitness podcast, and I'm gonna tell my healing recovery story in 15 minutes. So I'll keep you posted on that. If you wanna stay up to date and receive some really beneficial information that most people don't get or you can't get here, head to my website, healingwolfcoaching.com, sign up for my free newsletter. And if you're ready to work with me one-on-one, then please book a free consult call. We'll strategize. We'll get you on my calendar. We will get you better. I've got more videos here and a subscribe link here. So please do it. And I'm rooting for you. I love you. I know you can do this.